Life on Natividad Island starts around 7 a.m. when the men walk down the streets of the village. They slowly wake up. They glance at their worksheets.
La cota de abulón.
These are our abalone quotas inside the zones around the island.
Alrededor de la isla. Las zonas que
The zones in black are the places where you're not allowed to take any abalone. My job is to allocate the zones.
Yo aquí de esto me encargo yo, de estar repartiendo las hojas.
See how beautiful nature is? We have to preserve it for future generations.
The island is as arid as the undersea world is lush. Divers spend 4 to 5 hours underwater, connected to their boat by a tube supplying air. In Natividad, there's risk involved in the work.
If he's in danger, he'll tug sharply on the tube to signal the boat, like this.
The men take risks because they can earn a lot of money. $10,000 a month, a colossal sum compared to the average income of $380. And to maintain the standard of living, it's vital to protect what this income is based on: the abalone.
We have to gather yellow abalone like this one. We still need 148 during this tide. We've already got the 50 blues they asked us to get.
The fishermen on the island are remarkably meticulous and absolute masters at managing their resources. Natividad Island isn't much more than a small bare rock measuring 3.3 square miles off Mexico's Baja Peninsula. There are 400 inhabitants on the island, around 80 families. A harsh existence, entirely dependent on Natividad's cooperative of fishermen and divers. During the last 25 years, it went through numerous crises. In the 80s, the climactic phenomenon of El Niño warmed the waters and the stocks diminished. For a long time, their resources were exploited, at their own hands and by illegal fishing. But the cooperative has always managed to overcome adversity thanks to a unique organization. All you have to do is attend the annual general meeting to get some understanding of how it works.
Compañeros, ¿están de acuerdo con el punto número 5? Sí. Compañeros, ¿están de acuerdo con el punto número 7? Sí. Compañeros, ¿están de acuerdo con el punto número 2?
Each vote is cast by a raised hand, and the meetings last at least 3 days, often more. Martin is the president of the cooperative, an interlude in his career as a fisherman since terms are limited. He remembers the decision that launched the modifications of fishing practices at the end of the 1980s.
During the crisis, we made the decision to close a zone that started at La Piedra Plana to a spot further west that we call El Nido. We made this decision to see the results. During an annual meeting, we decided to close it for 4 years. It really helped, and in one fishing season, we made enough money to build a processing factory. It also allowed us to buy our electrical factory. The benefits exceeded all our hopes. We were sure that if we managed them this way, the abalone would reproduce. But we never thought we'd reap such rewards.
This way of thinking attracts scientists who go to great lengths to reach the little island.
I left Pacific Grove, a bit south of San Francisco, and flew to San Diego, where we crossed the border on foot. Then caught a bus and a plane to Cedros Island. From there, we took a boat to reach the fishermen of the Natividad Island Cooperative.
Clément Dumont is a researcher at the Oceanographic Laboratory at Stanford University. He's interested in the use of marine reserves as a way of managing resources, currently a solution that's often considered by the scientific community as a method to conserve stocks. The moment he arrives in Natividad, he visits Antonio. Antonio is someone the cooperative listens to. He's their biologist. He's also one of the unique aspects of this organization.
The advantage of having a biologist at the heart of the fishing community is that he brings them real scientific information. And he has a very close bond with the fishermen. He is able to help them understand the scientific data, which is often a big problem for us.
3 years ago, during a meeting, Antonio put forward the idea of investing in ocean reserves in order to ensure the long-term populations of the abalone, sea cucumbers, and sea snails.
The youngest ones were much more open to the idea. For the older fishermen, it was more difficult. I think it's a state of mind. The younger ones are more open, impressionable. It's easier to influence them with new ideas, as opposed to the older ones, who remain set in their ways.
The idea was passed, and the non-exploitation of marine reserves translates into lost revenue of $300,000 a year for the cooperative. 3% of ocean space is protected. In most cases, marine reserves are created when everything has been destroyed. Clément is studying this, adding up the figures, measuring, evaluating. And he turns in the data he's gathered at each meeting where every person not a member of the cooperative has to produce identification before they're allowed to enter.
We're going to introduce the co-workers who are here.
La idea es que ustedes, porque sean acá todos los días, bueno, hay muchos peces, muchos invertebrados, pero es diferente.
Clément only has partial data today. They have to wait another 2 or 3 years before they can precisely determine the effects of the marine reserves on the stocks of abalone or sea cucumbers in the fishing zones. However, Clément doesn't have to be very convincing to continue his study.
It's really fantastic to have a relationship like this with the fishermen, talking about the marine reserves and this idea of incorporating it into their fishing management. They don't ask if it's going to work or not. They have no doubts. They know it works. They've tested it themselves and they understand it works. What they're interested in is making sure no one else is fishing in their zones. They have no doubt that this idea works.
At the beginning of the 90s, they suffered a lot because of illegal fishing, intruders from the outside taking advantage of the zones managed by the island. And the implementation of marine reserves rekindled their fears. But the cooperative alone, without the help of the government, took things in hand.
We stay here all night, and then the other members take over. One watches the radar while the other one rests. Then we switch.
Es conforme al alfabeto.
It's done in alphabetical order, by name.
Hoy nos tocó a-
He's Batista and I'm Camacho.
Él es Bastida y yo soy Camacho.
De hecho, los piratas tardan en venir.
Now there's virtually no more pirating here.
Sí saben que
They wouldn't dare because they know we're watching them.
saben que hay dos lanchas que dan
They know there are 2 boats circling the island and 2 radar systems on the alert all night.
buscando aquí durante toda la noche.
And if the illegal fishermen dare to venture in here, they'll get a tough welcome.
Sí, de hecho, a cualquier embarcación que se ponga.
As soon as a boat offers any resistance or illegally takes some of our stock, we intercept them.
Se tiene que quebrar la lancha para que no vea.
Then we have to smash the other boats so they can't escape, so they can't get away.
Como te estaba platicando hace rato. Y el problema lo tenemos, como te digo,
The problem is, of all the North Pacific, this area is filled with pirate fishermen.
mucho problema de piraterismo. Ahí es más seguido, más a menudo el problema. De hecho, han tenido enfrentamientos.
In Cedros, there are a lot.
La gente
People sometimes shoot at you with guns and we could be killed.
se ha tirado a matar con armas.
Yes, it's hard.
Es muy duro,
It's difficult work.
es muy difícil el trabajo del.
The surveillance is over around 6 in the morning. That's when the island wakes up and gets ready for a new day's work. The work is very compartmentalized. The system is strict. The fishermen waiting to go to sea don't all have the same privileges. There are the socios, and then there are the extras, like Tochi.
Sí, sí, es el objetivo de todos los.
The extras always wake up earliest to try and get work that pays more, filling in for a socio.
Trabajo mejor para reemplazar un socio.
El Ruso is one of them, and today he's not giving up his spot.
Trabajar a burón, a bucear.
We're going to go diving, probably on the other side of the island.
El tiempo que esté un poquito marejada.
We're going to go see if it's possible. And if that doesn't work, we'll go somewhere else to find some yellow abalone.
Aquí, por este lado se va.
The wind has picked up a lot,
Se pone muy malo,
and that could shake up the bottom a bit.
no deja ver el plan bien.
El Ruso is a socio. There are 80 of them, and they're members of the cooperative. Tochi is an extra. There are around 20 or 30 of them, and they're not members in the co-op, even if they're paid by them. They can't go to the meetings, they act as replacements or work with the more menial products. Tochi arrives early at the gathering place. He watches the socios go to sea and waits to find out what his work is that day.
Es difícil y a pesar
It's difficult. And after this many years, you expect to be compensated.
de tu recompensa es algo que
You know you're making sacrifices in hopes of hitting the jackpot in the end. It's part of the job,
es parte.
because you're trying to go up a level,
Tú llegues a
become a socio.
a pasar a la otra etapa que sea socio.
El Ruso finds himself at the other end of the island. He has to gather 200 abalone, 150 yellows, 50 blues, no more, no less. Tochi is a little closer to the village. He's diving in the sargassum, seaweed that the cooperative sells to pharmaceutical companies. The work is almost identical. They spend hours under the water weighed down by 28 kilos of lead. But between the socios and the extras, between the abalone and sargassum, lies a world of difference.
The sargassum brings in about $200 to $300 a month. The abalone brings in a lot more.
When I'm underwater, I don't think about anything, just working and finding the abalone. Because I want my co-workers to be happy.
How much did you earn today?
$250 for today's work, and $400 that I share with the crew.
After the tide, the diver is the first one who gets dropped off at home. The diver is the pillar of the cooperative, the one who gets paid the most. El Ruso is the most reputable of all, efficient and a hard worker. He's got his own way of working that neither his wife nor daughter interfere with. It's his first coffee after getting home.
You need at least an hour and a half for your body to warm up. Your feet take the longest, and it takes an hour and a half for your entire body to return to normal body temperature.
Like a lot of others, El Ruso lives on the island with his wife and children. Moving here has undeniable benefits like free water and electricity paid for by the cooperative. Spouses find life peaceful, disturbed only by the daily wait for their returning husbands.
It's difficult, but I've gotten used to it. Like the other girls here who've gotten used to seeing their husbands go to work and come home. But it makes me nervous. I often check the time, and if he's late, I'm afraid he won't come home. I prefer to think he's having a hard time finding the products. But yes, it makes me nervous.
These are legitimate worries. The dives aren't risk-free. Even without accidents, treatments inside the decompression chamber are frequent. They can be dangerous, but it's hard to handle it differently.
Because of climate conditions and powerful water currents, even if it's dangerous for us, we don't regularly respect decompression times. At first it starts with a small pain, then it gets more and more intense, then almost unbearable. Unfortunately, then we have to use the decompression chamber. In the abalone fishing zones, there's generally a lot of current. To gather the abalone, you have to move against the current. It takes a lot of strength, and that's why we don't always follow the decompression times.
Life on the island is quite rigorous. They work 6 days out of 7. There's no bar, and only a friendly game of baseball allows them to escape their work routine a little. The women are on one side, the men on the other. They watch the teams play, and the differences between socios and extras are eased. At the beginning of the 80s, there were 125 socios. But because of overexploitation, the stocks diminished and had a negative effect on incomes. They decided not to appoint anyone for 15 years. Becoming a socio has become very difficult. Needless to say, positions are rare.
Every day is like a competition. You try to be better than the next guy so they'll keep you and ask you to join the organization. You have to be disciplined, work hard and be responsible. That's it.
There are only 80 socios now, and Tochi will have to wait for someone to retire to have any hope of one day becoming a full member of this cooperative, where it's as hard to become a member as it is to quit. After 23 seasons as a socio diver, Servando is stopping. He's 48 years old, and his body can't keep up anymore. The cooperative asked him to retire, and he agreed.
I realize I'm being emotional. It's hard to hide my pain. I want to thank the cooperative. I'll always remember such a good organization. An organization that preserves the values of the group and teaches good things. It was a school of life. That was the best part.
At virtually the same time, Tochi is waiting on the doorstep of his house. He's the first on the list to replace Servando, and we can't tell whether he or his brother is more stressed out. There are no leaks at a general meeting, never. Destiny can be changed with a vote. When you're an extra, you have to learn to live with that hope.
You have mixed feelings because you know there's a chance to join the cooperative. You know that when the general meeting ends, there will be a decision and you might not be admitted. But you learn to control yourself too, because you also know you probably won't. Nobody on the island knows anything, but you hope. You know you probably won't be chosen, that you'll have to wait another year, but that changes your life in a powerful way.
But his life won't change today. The socios have decided to wait a bit before replacing Servando, and at the end of the general meeting, they celebrate their loyal co-worker.
I'm both sad and happy to have survived without any complications, except my surgery. I'm happy I finished standing without having caused any problems for my cooperative.
Servando won't stay on the island. The retirees don't live there. They live on the continent in Ensenada, a city of 700,000 inhabitants in North Baja California, a 15-hour drive away. Ensenada is the back office of the cooperative. That's where Martin administrates life on the island.
Yes, you can say it's the heart, or at least part of it, because the heart is on the island. That's where we generate the funds needed for everything we've got, the trucks we drive. It's really an important part of the whole organization. The offices are here, we go to market, concentrate our resources, everything of value to the cooperative. It's very important.
The cooperative takes care of its retirees. It builds houses for the less fortunate ones to live in. The divers leave with $300,000 after 20 years of service, then open businesses in the town. A few times a month, the retirees meet in luxurious hotels on the shores of the Pacific. When you're a part of the cooperative, you're a member for life. They're immensely proud of their organization and its development.
In our day, there wasn't all this control over fishing methods. Today, it's different. If we look back 10 or 15 years, the administrators today have become very strict in the application of the rules. They make sure that a product remains completely sustainable and that we respect the defined zones for future generations. That's the difference.
On the island, this rigor is maintained daily. In the morning, the dispatcher assigns the capture zones and the exact number of abalone that can be fished. In the afternoon, he evaluates every catch. Everything is weighed and tallied. He makes a list of each unit taken from the water. Before each season, the cooperative assesses the stocks, and it does so in a remarkably precise manner because the fishing territory is divided into zones.
On this chart, we see a representation of Natividad Island in blue. And around it are the sites being assessed and where species are fished, like the abalone, lobsters, sea snails, and sea cucumbers. In this way, we know exactly what is in each block and what can be taken out of each of them. It's beneficial because we don't work on the overall quantity, but by zone. And when we go fishing, we record all that's been fished. We know what's in a given area and what we can take from each area.
This way of working ties in with the new concepts from the scientific community. In recent years, they've modified their point of view on the management of stocks. Generally speaking, they believed that the ocean was a large uniform basin that allowed the evaluation of resources on a large scale, hundreds or thousands of square kilometers. Because of the failure of this approach, some of the experts are now interested in smaller scale areas, and in this way Natividad Island has become an outstanding model to convince the skeptics.
It's pretty amazing to work here, because generally speaking, when the scientists arrive in a location or study an area with fishermen, they're there because there are huge problems overfishing, enormous problems with managing their stock and their fishing areas. But here it's the opposite. When we scientists arrive, we participate in this fishing community, which is actually quite autonomous, that manages to keep the marine ecosystem around their island in excellent health. And in the end, we learn a lot from them.
The most surprising thing is that all the methods put in place to preserve their resources weren't conceived as an ecological measure. For them, the marine reserves, the supervision, the very hierarchical distribution of work, and measured exploitation of the stocks is just common sense. A way of not cutting off the branch on which you're sitting. A way of also ensuring the durability of a cooperative that understood that the best solution to safeguard their wealth is also to safeguard the environment.